Steelbound Sky is an iOS game arcade shooter that was recently made by Witterwood Studios. It tries to take advantage of touchscreen to control the direction of wind currents rather than using virtual joysticks to control the direction of a ship, something which I have always thought was unoptimized in most game maps anyway. Whether it succeeds, however, is something that we're going to find out. This is Gaming Reviews, and we're reviewing Steelbound Sky. With this game being rather crowded on the App Store, I think it's a step in the right direction from the developers to approach it in a different way. Instead of having a ship, you'll have to defend a town that is located below the airfield, where you control the winds to push away enemies and rockets to keep your inhabitants safe. You can control the direction, length and strength of the currents to manipulate any physical object at your convenience. It's a great mechanic and provides an immediate, exciting and tense experience with tons of last-second moments where you're on the brink of death, but you still make it out alive. It's really cool and gives you a great feeling of accomplishment every time you beat a level. It has original enemies and the visibility of all targets and missile fire is decent. Controls are very fine, and the only moments that you'll have a little bit more difficulty is when you have some enemies at the edges of your phone's glass plate, where it's a little bit more difficult to draw the currents. But it's in general not really a game breaker. As for the rest, all the controls are perfectly fine. Lastly, the performance is fantastic. Even on my iPhone 5, it still runs smooth as butter. The visuals are very nice and the art, sound and model design are enjoyable. The boss battles in particular are well designed and are worthy opponents. Now, with everything being so good, I have to admit that the game does have a very steep learning curve, as it almost feels like even the beginning levels are like God mode or hard mode, being unforgiving and difficult to learn, as it throws loads of enemies at such a speed that would seem unlikely for a tutorial level. In addition to being difficult to learn, you also have a number of lives within each level that will run out as your town gets destroyed. Should you lose that last life, you will be prompted to restart the entire level. This can be a bit punishing since every level is split into parts, Part A and Part B, where in Part A you're shooting at enemies from a static point in the map, and in Part B it moves upwards towards the final boss. So if you lose at Part B, you will have to redo Part A as well. However, well, that's okay, as admittedly a game doesn't need to be too easy, right? But there is one thing in this game that is completely bonkers. And in fact, it's so bad that it could single-handedly be responsible for you not picking up this game. So while there are lives in the levels themselves, there are also general lives that account for the total amount of game overs you're allowed to do, which are like 5 max, I think. That means that if you game over and you run out of all these general lives, the game will reset entirely. And I mean entirely, including your levels, your power-ups and your health upgrades. It's as if you would have uninstalled the app, deleted all your save game data, and reinstall it and replay it again. Your sense of accomplishment and motivation get crushed by this system, and I refuse to continue playing the game once I found out about this. It sucks, because almost everything else of the game is excellent. We're 2016 people, don't resort to these old cheap replay systems. At least if the game is so hard, give us an option for this Ironman mode. Don't just force everybody into it. I barely had the time to develop a proper sense of touch in this game, and now I'm gonna have to redo it all over again. The only other downside of Steelbound Sky is that there is no music. Like, really, no default music. Yeah, I know it's an iPhone, it's an iPad, you can play your own music, so it's not as much of a problem, but still. You see, I really loved the gameplay, and I badly wanted to give this game a 4 out of 5, as it has great controls, optimized, fast-paced action and interesting enemies tied with satisfying visuals and boss battles. But this removal of all your unlocked content is so devastating that I felt the need to give it a 2 out of 5. But you know what? That would be terribly unfair, because at least the game doesn't charge you microtransactions. You see, it would have been very convenient for them to charge you additional lives in order to keep all your progressed content so it doesn't go away. And that cannot be left unmentioned, as most apps nowadays would give you this paywall between yourself and your ability to play. And they didn't go that way. So in overview, the game currently deserves a 3 out of 5, with the system still on. It would have been a 4 out of 5 easily if they decided to remove this Iron Man mode or at least make it optional. This app has a lot more potential than it currently has. In fact, it's restricting a lot of potential by simply removing your motivation to play, as it resets your entire progression entirely. So Witherwood Studios, please dump this old system in the trash bin and allow people to fully immerse themselves with a safer feeling for casual play in Steelbound Sky. This was Gaming Reviews, and I will see you in the next review.